Hi, this is Everett, Everett's Watercolors. I'm here today this is my Thursday paint along class. So today we're going to do another special painting, which I like. I'm going to draw some more trees. A lot of trees out there to paint, so you can't paint them all, you do one at a time. But today I'll paint the evergreen tree, which to me is very interesting. Last week I did the oak tree, which is a large volume tree, large limbs and big foliage and so forth. But today we got a special, you know, the fir tree or the evergreen trees. You know, they have a smaller silhouette, but also a shape. So let's go to my painting table and let me get started. Another tree. So here's my here's a reference photograph, and it's a spruce. These are wild spruces out there in the landscape. And lots of them around there, but they're very tall, but see, they're very slender, much different from that and other type of trees. But what you want to do first of all, before you do a tree like this, is get some good samples. Here's a couple of good samples here of spruce trees. Here's another bunch here. Beautiful shapes and so forth. And now here's one in the snow. We're not going to do that today, but here's one in the snow. You see, they're a little smaller. But see, the shapes are very similar. They have cylinder shape and like a triangle, cylindrical and also a triangular type shape. And then here's a bunch of them here in the forest. Okay, all kinds of shapes. There's tall ones and there's short ones and there's round ones, flat ones, and just like people, they're all different. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use this type of tree right here. I'm going to change the I'm going to change my painting plan a little bit, but I'm going to use these as my samples here to get started with right here. So I'll come down on my drawing board, and what I did here is the shape of a tree. First of all, you want to pick the shape. Get an outline. Here's a couple of spruces here at different size. But then what you want to start here now on this particular one here is you got the long trunk. Start with his trunk. And then you want to get a pattern of limbs that make an interesting pattern of limbs out here to make the shape more interesting. Okay, so you start with a slim angle of the trunk, and then you add in the limbs, and you'll come up with the shapes. Okay, so that's kind of where you get started, and that's how I'm going to get started today. So over here, I've got my watercolor paper. This is a quarter sheet. I'm going to use a quarter sheet today, a little bit bigger to see and everything. And I've drawn a couple shapes in here on my paper. You can see here I got the stems down here, and I've got some general size branches and so forth. I'm going to paint in. Now over here on my painting palette, I'm going to use some fan brushes today for the trees, and they'll be easier. I'm going to show you a little bit different, tell you how to use a fan brush. Got a couple sizes here. But first of all, I'm going to get the sky started. There's background sky. What I've done here is I'm going to wet the paper. These are Hake. These are Hake brushes. This is my large, and this is my medium out here. Large, medium, is small, but I'm going to use the large Hake to wet the paper, and I use the middle size Hake to put the background sky in there. So I'm going to start here with the Hake. I'm going to wet the paper, and I'm not going to tape the paper down. I'm just going to go ahead and wet the paper, get it moist. That'll help the paint run down the paper a little easier. And it's laying flat. I'm not going to put it on an incline or anything. I'm just going to go ahead and put it down. So I go all the way down here to where I think the horizon will be, about right down in here. Okay, and take out some of the moisture with a brush. And then I'm going to pick up some of that excess water. Make sure the paper is damp. I don't want it soft and wet, but I want it damp enough so that the paint flows nice and easy. Okay, and let that water soak in a little bit, and we'll talk about the colors. So let me pick up some of the excess water here. Keep the water off the painting board. Okay, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do here now, I'm going to pick up some paints. Now I mixed a little bit of kind of a variety here. I think I'm going to, instead of having a nice sunny blue sky, I'm going to have like an overcast, not overcast, but it's going to be kind of moody with a little bit of, I'm going to mix up a little bit of blue, cerulean, this is ultramarine blue. And I got some red, which is Elysium Crimson. Go mix that in there and add up a little bit of yellow ochre. So it's really the primary, red, yellow, and blue together. Give me a gray with a little bit of, maybe a little purple cast to it, or a little blue cast to it. But that's going to be the color of my sky, and I'm not going to make it very dark. It's going to be kind of light background. So we'll start up here at the top, give it a nice glow, a little bit of blue, and I'll put a little bit of alizarin crimson in there. So it's going to have a nice, nice light, warm sky. Might be a little overcast. I'm not going to worry about clouds or anything like that. I'm just going to let it go ahead and just kind of dry, a nice light. Just don't want to have the white paper. And down here, a little bit of yellow ochre at the bottom, maybe. Warm up the bottom a little bit. So it's kind of like a variable, variety of colors here in the sky. Okay, now let me go ahead and dry that. Get the wet. I've got paper. I got moisture here on the. I want to get that off the painting. The excess water away. Okay, so I just got a little bit of color there in the background. Let me go ahead. And dry the. Go ahead and dry the paper. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, this is a pan-along. You can get yourself, use the photograph I used here, or get your own photograph of some evergreen trees or spruce. I'm using a spruce tree. I think it's the most interesting shape. And draw yourself a little diagram or a little configuration on your paper. And a little 9 by 12 sheet of paper would be fine. This is a quarter sheet, which measures 15 by 11. And I've got it in a portrait format, up and down. This use Ranger dry. I'll get this dry real fast. Make sure around here. Now see, you see there, it's not a very dominant sky. It's just going to be a nice light sky, but it's going to not white paper. Just get rid of the white paper. It's a nice background. Kind of a mixture of gray. When you put the primaries together, red, yellow, and blue, you're going to get a gray. It's just a nice background. Okay. All right. Now the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix up a little bit of darker paint, and I'm going to use here. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch Holbein, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of ultramarine blue. Now I'm going to mix the tree colors. Now this is going to be ultramarine blue, a little bit of Hooker's green here in the corner, down here at the bottom right. Hooker's green, which is a dark green, ultramarine blue, which is a dark blue, and then maybe just a little bit of burnt sienna. Get a mixture in here, and it'll be a dark greenish. Spruce has got a dark green. It's got maybe a little tint of blue into it, but it's got a dark green, dark green color. And evergreens are green. They stay green all year long. So this green is going to be the same color as it is all year long. It just grows that way. More blue in there, and more burnt sienna. What happens when I put the green in? I add the burnt sienna to it. That's a good complementary color. The reds in the inside the burnt sienna's got red in it, so it's going to neutralize some of that green that won't give us a real strong. Or a real bright green. I want something a little bit duller. All right, I got two fan brushes here. One's a small and a medium, small size fan brushes, and they're synthetic brushes. And I'm going to start with a smaller one first. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go ahead and start putting in this little tree over here. Now I'm just going to use the tip of the fan brush. I load it with lots of paint. And just get the tip of the brush and just use the corners. And I can use the corners to get this up here. I'm going to start at the top. Now, spruce trees, evergreen trees, all have and especially spruce, it's going to have a very pointed top. It's going to have these branches that go out to the side. So I'm gonna get the predominant branches in here first of all. These are the branches I was talking about. You draw in some branches. You want to vary them. We have different lengths and different sizes and different angles. But basically up here at the top, the branches point up. They swoop upward. That's kind of the characteristic of a spruce tree or an evergreen tree, is that they angle upward here at the top of the tree. And that is kind of characteristic of that. And then as you come down, the limbs get a little bit flatter. So there's an angle change here as the branches come down. They get a little bit flatter. And I'm going to vary the lengths of the trees, because this is an old spruce tree. They're not. This is not a Christmas tree. Christmas trees are pretty well. They grow them in the nurseries, and they have them all lined up. And they look just like perfect little symmetrical little trees. But this is going to be one you find in the woods. Now, as you get down a little further here, past the midpoint here, then the limbs start drooping downward. Okay, at the bottom. Okay, see, they're the older limbs. So what's happened is they're drooping down a little bit heavier down here, and so they droop downward. So that's kind of the characteristic of a spruce tree. And down here you have some little off of the trunk. You're going to have some pieces hanging down, so forth, irregular. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to set that up there. This kind of gets me started. That's kind of a base there for that one there. That's a little smaller. Now the larger one over here, I'm going to move to the bigger fan brush, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I've got a large trunk here, and start out the top, and it's going to have a pointed top, just like the little one here. This is going to have and the branches point up a little bit, come down. And all I'm doing with this fan brush is just pushing it into the page. I'm not really doing much of a stroke to that. Just kind of using the tip of it, and I'm using the brush as a pointer. So I'm just kind of getting the main branches in here. These are going to kind of come up a little bit, and I'll make those a little more defined when I get started here. This one will come up a little bit more. And there'll be and these kind of trees here in the woods. They're kind of, the branches are spread out. They don't come. They're not perfect. It'll be kind of random, depending on the growth of the tree and so forth. And then these at the bottom now, they start drooping down, just like the other tree I was talking about. They have a little upward swoop to them, but this one here will kind of come down a little bit. And I'll bring this bark, going down to the bottom here. Okay, all right. So I kind of got the basics in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and start adding in some a little more detail. So I think what I'll do is I'll move to the 1/2 inch. I'm going to pick up a little more paint. And we'll start over here now. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to use the corner of the brush, load it up with nice load of paint. And I'm going to go in here now. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put some more definition here now. A little darker color. And get these branches a little bit more defined. And they're still rugged. They're different sizes, different shapes. There's some gaps in the tree and so forth. They're not all perfectly symmetrical. And that's the beauty of nature. Every tree is different. They were all in the wilderness, and they grew under different conditions, different weather conditions, And some trees are a little bit older than others. Some are just new. Okay, keep building that one. All right, build that one up now. And we'll go to this larger tree now. And we again use the half-inch. Use the half-inch flat brush. I'm going to put a little more definition up here, and get a little thicker, a little darker paint. Making sure my branches are irregular. I don't want to have them identical on either side. It's not symmetrical. There's just a lot of variety. I'm going to make this make this an interesting shape. And now down here we're going to get a little more branches, a little thicker. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to pick up a little lighter. Now I'm going to lighten this up just a little bit. And what I'm going to do now is change the value a little bit. Add a little more water to that mix now. Put a little blue in there now. A little more blue. A little more mix. A little lighter. Now I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to put another layer here, and these are kind of like branches behind, so a little bit lighter, indicating that there's branches coming up from behind the other side on these gaps. Give the illusion of depth here in the tree. Some branches behind the back side. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. This isn't going to have as many behind, maybe a little bit. Okay. Now what I think I do now, I'm going to get another brush. I'm going to get my number 6 round. I'm going to go in one more layer. So go back and get the dark paint again. Dark green, dark blue. And we're going to go in here now. I'm going to start adding in that trunk. And the trunk will come down. You'll see it's kind of I call it off and on. You're going to see the trunk, and then it disappears in the branches. And you see it again. And down here at the bottom, it's pretty visible here at the bottom. There's not many branches down here at the bottom of the tree. Okay. Now over here on this one, this one's a little bit taller, a little bit bigger, so the trunk's going to be a little bit bigger, a little thicker, a little wider at the bottom. Okay. I'm going to do one more pass now as I go through here now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in a little more more definition here on the. Now I'm trying to put a little. The branches are, of course, the needles on the spruce are like all pine trees or all evergreen trees have needles. Indicate here a little bit of roughness here on these branches. This is coming along pretty good. Okay, and this one over here. I'm gonna make this add some more definition to this tree. This is my big one over here, so I'm gonna put a little more detail up here. I'm working on the edge of these branches so they have a little bit of texture to them, a little roughness. Adding some more branches, adding some more leaves down here. These branches down here will get a little bit larger. Add some more roughness. Those pine needles. Okay. Now what I'm going to do now is add a little definition here in the foreground. So what I'm going to do here is pick up a bigger brush. I'm going to put a little light green up here. Pick up some yellow. Put some low-lying shrubbery down here. Some foliage down here at the bottom, with grass, tall bushes, and so forth. So put a little bit down, a little bit of color down here at the bottom. Now what I'm going to do here, now is I'm going to take my credit card. There's an old credit card torn up, and I'm going to, as the paint is still wet down here, I'm going to go ahead and drag in some marks here showing branches and twigs. You can do this now as the paint is drying, lifting out some of that. You do this before the paint is completely dry. The shine goes away. You can see the shine go away, and that's when you can drag in the marks here and make some marks here at the bottom for a little bit of definition of branches Okay. And what I'm going to do is take that this is yellow lemon. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow in here. This will give a little change in the color of the painting. It won't be all drab greens and everything. I want to put a little more color in here, especially across the top here, where some light could be hitting the top of these grass. Okay. And what I think what I'll do now is just take make a little gray. If I got this, I'm going to mix up a little bit of red in with that, or a little burnt sienna with this. Pick up some color here. Maybe a little bit of Payne's gray. Get a nice light mix some here. Some more blue. Lots of water. And I'm going to put in some background trees back here. Just a hint of a forest here. So these will be kind of in the background, and not really too well defined. And what I'll do there is, while it's drying, I just pick it up with a little towel, little tissue. All I want is a little silhouette back there in the background, just indicating some trees. These are background trees up here, just indicating a little shape. Just to give it a little bit of help there. And what I think I'll do now is pick up some burnt sienna, a little bit of ultramarine blue, make a dark color. And I'm going to put in some darker branches down here, just to break this little area up down here. Just adding some more elements here in the foreground to make this foreground a little more defined with some shapes, some branches and twigs of some of the bushes, low bushes down here. Maybe I'll put a tall one up here. A couple branches. These could be some trees that have got leaves on them, but now it's in the cold weather. They just don't have leaves on them anymore. They're still dry. Okay, all right. Okay, well, the main demonstration today was to paint the spruce trees, okay? And you get a good shape, you get a good photograph and you get a good shape of a tree. You can see how the limbs are spread out or not spread out, and you see gaps. You see gaps in the limbs and so forth. And how tall they are and how slim, tall and slim. That's how I made my configuration here. I mean, he's tall and slim. And this one here was a little bit wider, but down this one was a little bit taller and thinner. So kind of variety there, okay? Then I added a little bit of a background in there with light and with just some light colors and so forth, a mixture. Okay, let me put a mat around this. Let's see, I always like to put this up on a board. Show this off a little bit. Let's see. Paintings always look a little better when you put a mat board around them. Okay, let's put this up there. There. And maybe, maybe I'll change the color, make it green. I'll put the green mat board around it instead of the blue one. Let's put the green around it with the green trees and so forth there. Okay, and kind of straighten that up. All right, so that's really the matted framed painting of the spruce trees. Okay, so let's go back to my main camera. Okay, I really enjoyed doing that. I hope you enjoyed watching. Now, spruce trees are a little different from other trees. They're a little silhouetted. In fact, this one here was a dark against a light background. Easier to see. So a lot of photographs you'll find they're hidden in the woods and they're dark against dark, and it's hard to see. It's hard to see them. So I picked a light background so you could see the actual configuration silhouetted against the light background. And remember, I started with a very not colorful, but a very colored background, just to give it just get rid of the white paper. White paper is just too bright. Then I played around with the limbs. The limbs are all very interesting in the spruce tree, and I love to paint them. So I'll be back this evening with Simply Drawing Whatever at 7:30. If you're interested in drawing, I'll be drawing some trees this evening at 7:30 p.m. So you can always visit me on the 7:30 show on Thursday, and you can also I'll have this released on Thursday around 2 o'clock. So I hope you paint along. If you paint along, you can put your samples or your work. You can put them on Everett's art group, Watercolor art group on Facebook. Everett's Watercolor art group, and there you can display yourself. All right, good question. You got questions and comments? Put them in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So until next week, you all stay safe, and I'll see you on the next video. So until then, bye.